What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is Jake from Citizen JV, and I want to talk about a couple of things here. First and foremost is that I'm thankful enough that I can provide the utmost of quality of content on my channel. Okay, I am on the verge of hitting my first 1K, and I am honored and I'm privileged amongst all things. Okay, now, secondly, I want to talk about subscriber counts, okay, a little bit. Specifically, my channel, I would say, because earlier today, I was streaming Shadow of the Tomb Raider, okay? And I have a lot of supporters. I have a lot of subs, obviously. And I have a really good communicado, basically communication with my audience and my people, basically, my community, right? And so I was at, what I'm trying to get to, I was actually able to get up to 994 subs. Okay? I refreshed my page one again because I'm on my computer when I see my chat, and I went down to 990. Okay? Then I went down to 989. And I asked myself, what is going on here? Okay? Now, what I'm trying to get to is that it's not so much about the sub count. It's more on the lines of who are these people that are subscribing to me other than the people that are real that have subbed to me actually appreciate my work, okay? Which is awesome. I love that feeling. It's one of the greatest things of why I keep on doing what I'm doing here, because it's my strongest passion I've ever had in such a long time. Now, and so what I'm trying to get to is that when I noticed this, I'm like, okay, well, I finally realized it out as well after the fact that it's not a me problem. It's not. It's more on the lines of the fact that YouTube, what I've also learned, is that YouTube is very fickle when it comes to subscriber counts and or any other things for that matter, but that's besides the point, okay? And what I mean by being fickle is that they will take off bot accounts when they are not real people. And that's what I think that's exactly what happened. I think that's exactly what happened as well. So either or, we're not going to talk about this anymore. Now, okay, I want to talk about AI specifically, okay? I have been accused of it. I have been accused of, using AI for my scripting, for not necessarily for my my thumbnails or anything else, but basically for scripting. Okay, and the reason why I mention this is because I actually recently had a comment. It was early, I believe it was earlier. It was last year before the end of the year of 2025 ended. Someone decided to say the fact of the matter is that you decided to use AI after, re-recording your lines through audio and then using your scripting for AI. And here's the thing, I'm going to say one thing. That is simply not true. And the reason why I did what I did with that video is basically based off of, my favorite 10 games of 2025. Okay? Now, truth be told, I do use AI, okay? But I don't rely on it 100%, okay? And the reason why I don't use it 100% is because I do believe people can rely on it way too much, which is absolutely 100% true, okay? So like I said again, I do use AI for my thumbnails and for my titles. I think that's fine. I think that's perfectly natural. I think a lot of people actually do that. So I could be wrong, but that's just my own theory or opinion, of course. Now, when it comes to my scripting, though, I actually make my own scripts. Now, another thing I will say is that when it comes to my passion of what I do for my channel and what I provide, when it comes to either doing my commentaries or my live streams, I'm a very authentic person, okay? I have never been this way many years ago when I was just a kid. Okay? Because when you're a kid, you have no idea what the fuck you're doing as a kid, right? You don't know what to do with your world or with your life because you're a kid. I feel like that there's no excuse for it, but that's what a lot of people are going to say. There's no excuse for it. Well, here's the thing. I believe that's kind of like 50-50. It's a little bit of a gray area, okay? Now, point taken, I would say for myself as well, is that when I was a kid, or early in my earlier teens or later teens, I'm going to be honest about this, okay? I was a stressed person. I was a depressed person, but not like really depressed, but I was somewhat depressed. And I didn't know what to do with my life, okay? To be fair. And then after getting therapy, I would say, I'm 46 now. And so I would say after I got in therapy for emotional therapy, basically, because I have, my emotions can sometimes get away with me sometimes with any kind of certain type of situation, no matter what situation it might be. But that's besides the point, okay? The point what I'm trying to get to is that when I had therapy for emotional therapy, basically, or not physical, it was the fact that the matter is that, it was something that I needed to do just to get all my emotions out, basically how I feel about, real world and my life and everything else, but nobody wants to hear that. So I'm just giving you guys a heads up on this as well. And so I've had this emotional therapy a couple years back, like no less than 10 years ago. And then when I finally reached the point to where I felt like that that line of life, basically I call it in my own personal opinion or theory, whatever it may be, is that I finally found that balance to where it's like, I care, but I don't care. Okay. Now, I think when it comes to bringing that type of knowledge of doing what I do on YouTube by live streaming or doing my commentaries, I feel like that, or I felt I wanted to be more authentic as a person. And that's why I'm saying by going through that therapy, it really dawned on me after the fact, after those years I've had that therapy, to where I'm like, you know what? If I'm going to do something that I really want to be passionate about, which I'm doing here now, right? Live streaming or doing commentaries on my channel, I finally figured it out. I want to be authentic as possible, or as much as possible, right? And so I think that's where, for me, it's important to me, okay? Now, to get to the matter at hand, what I'm trying to talk about here is that not recently, but when I've had negative comments or toxic comments on videos that I've actually had, especially on a video that I did, I think it was about 1.5 years ago at least, the most, or maybe a year, I made a video about Halo possibly coming to PlayStation, okay? Well, it is. And so the point being is that I've actually had someone saying, please stop making videos, okay? And then I had another person reply to that comment saying, I second that, okay? Now, the point that I'm trying to get to is that because of those comments, and I'm just like, when I saw those comments, I'm just like, wow. Because I'm just like, it seems like I struck a nerve. Apparently I struck a nerve. I actually find them fucking hilarious, to be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen. So, again, this is where I'm saying I care, but I don't care what other people think of what I do when it comes to my commentaries. But when it comes to live streaming, it's totally different. But when it comes to my commentaries, though, when I make my commentaries as much as I can, whenever possible, is that I try to not be always 100% correct or 100% like knowledgeable. I try to just like voice my own personal opinion on something, not just a theory as it were, but just a preference or an opinion of what I truly think about a game that's going to be more tailored to me rather than to someone else. It's recently, I would say, about, Vampire Bloodlines 2, right? Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2, excuse me. And I made a video on that, and a lot of people actually liked my video on that. I actually had a lot of people give me some really good positive feedback. Of course, you're always gonna have negative feedback coming back as well from some people as well. But here's the thing. I actually remember one thing about a comment that someone says. I did a little bit of an analogy of, the preview from IGN that they did for Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 as well, that I got a little bit of a Legacy of Kain vibe from it because you play as an elder vampire. You played as a vampire that has lost their humanity, but in order to do that, you can have choice and consequence type of style to it. And I did another analogy on it there were two games in particular that really resonated within that game as well, other than going through that preview of the game, is that the game actually tailors to another game called Murdered Soul Suspect, because it's in that noir type of thing. And not only that, it also had a little bit of LA Noir from Rockstar Games with that type of mystery and gothic type of thing in a way. But again, I think that's what's so cool about it. So that's what I was talking about. Now, going back to passion, I feel, not recently or lately, but remembering all those negative comments really kind of, I would say, did it hurt my feelings? Maybe a little bit, yeah. But at the same time, I finally realized that, it's not my problem anymore. It never has been, right? And it's more of a them problem, because what I was going to say, it really shows off those types of people's insecurities. And I know a lot of people will probably say, well, you're not a psychiatrist or anything. I'm going to tell you right here and now, it does not take a fucking rocket scientist or a psychiatrist or psychologist to understand what people have insecurities that they have when they make negative or toxic comments on a YouTube channel. Whether if you're like a 500 sub count one or a 2.5 million sub count YouTuber, right? It doesn't matter. And I think that's what makes it so fascinating, is that people get all this no matter how big or small you are. That's one thing I finally realized going with all those types of comments I've had, and it's simply astounding. So now going through all this as a person, and not just as a content creator as well, it's the fact that the matter is, I'm not the only person that goes through it. Everybody goes through it. Everybody goes through it, and including myself, with dislikes as well. And what I'm trying to get to or say is that it happens. It's the nature of the beast. It's like fighting for your survival in a way, because I've always known, and I have always known, that YouTube is a very competitive platform. Okay? I actually had a comment recently, it was about a week or two ago, and this person was actually really nice to me. I get a lot of really nice comments from a lot of really nice people, okay? But this person was really nice to me. He was very cordial. This person was actually being very respectful, because of the way how he commented and said, you have a good thing going here, man. Keep up the great work, But this person also said that, I don't think, he said, you do have full potential. And he's right, I do have full potential. But then he also said that, we're in a landscape of a platform like YouTube, to where there are a lot of content creators out there that are going to be far more better than me. And guess what? He's actually kind of right. But to be fair and honest as well, to me, I feel like it really doesn't matter. I feel like when it comes to a platform like YouTube, other than Facebook or Kick or Twitch, people will always like you for who you are. and it has to do with personality, sense of humor, even passion. And so I think that's the most important thing that a lot of people really need to take into consider, because for me, it took me a long time to figure out what I wanted to do, not just having a job Monday through Friday and, live streaming Wednesday through Saturday as much as I can. Because like I said before, I'm just trying to have fun. And when I'm trying to have fun, and when I have a really good solid community that respects me, that loves me for who I am, that likes me for who I am, and appreciate what I do, that's the most important thing to me. It's the greatest important thing to me. I think that's another thing. I feel like a lot of people really take that for granted. And I will say to anybody out there, I'm not speaking for anybody. I'm not. I'm just saying, please do not take your community for granted. Don't verbally abuse them. Don't be that negative Nancy or that negative Panda or whatever. You get where I'm going with this, okay? Because I'm going to tell you, with someone like me that has gone through emotional therapy, I'm telling you, it really opens up your mind. It opens up your eyes, and you finally will realize that, you know what? I'm no different than anybody else. That's the key here for me. And so what I will say is that I'm a very strong and passionate person. I want to show this for what I do here. And like I said, again, a lot of people love what I do. And I think that's, again, it's important to me. I want people to understand that. Because, I would say, I don't want to say this, but I'm going to mention one thing here though too. I actually had a little bit of a rough childhood when I was a kid. Okay? And I'm not going to go any more forward than that. I'm just going to put that in there real quick as well. So that's why I was saying with the emotional therapy that I went through a couple of years back. And so all I can say is this, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not saying you don't have to like my stuff. If you don't like it, that's fine. I don't care. But what I do care is that if you're going to come in, give me some constructive criticism, but don't be so toxic or negative about it. You can maybe a little bit, but don't oversaturate it. The more you oversaturate your comment, whether if it's a toxic or a negative one, I will not respond. That's one thing I will say as well. So another thing I will say is that I will never bend over for anybody, because of what a person or persons might say, whether if it's negative or toxic, in my commentary section, or even to my face. Because I'm going to tell you, if truth be told, if I can be verbally abusive, I will. Or I can be. But I choose not to. The reason why I choose not to is because I don't want to be that type of person. I don't. I don't want to be that asshole. I don't want to be that jerk, dude. I want to be a person to where I'm wanted, I'm appreciated and loved or liked. I like having all that. And you know what? I actually have all that. I do. And so all I can say is this, ladies and gentlemen, and to my amazing community, you guys are really absolutely the best. And to the bottom of my heart, you guys make this possible for me. I'm not going to cry, but this is the truth and honest and most awarest thing I have ever been able to really get down to the crux of what's actually been going on with me lately. And I will say it's been really hard to go through it, but having my amazing community of what I do through my commentaries or through my live streams, it's just like, I'm going to tell you, man, it helps me immensely. Big time. You have no idea how big it is for me. And that's why I'm saying, do not take your amazing community that you have built on your channel for granted. Because if you do that, then it's like you wouldn't be here where you are now. Truth be told. So all I can say is this, ladies and gentlemen, this is Citizen JV. You guys have a good rest of your week and have a good, fantastic upcoming weekend. And I'll chat you guys later. Peace, guys.